This following video contains content that some viewers may find emotionally distressing. Our in-the-moment interviews aim to shed light on difficult topics of all kinds, so please read the description of the video before viewing to ensure you will be comfortable watching the subject matter. If you feel overwhelmed at any point, please take care of yourself and consider seeking support from a trusted person or professional resource.
It got to a point, man, when I was going to bed with a bottle of whiskey. I've suppressed all of those emotions. I've suppressed my happiness as well. I needed to make a positive change because it was one of those moments where I looked at myself in the mirror and said, you know, I need to be my own hero. No one's gonna fucking help me.
And give yourself a bit of an introduction to the camera and the audience. Say who you are, what you do and stuff.
I'm George, and I am a mentor and creative manager at Bespoke Mentoring.
Mental health.
Mental health.
We've all got our own journeys and stuff with it, but what's yours? Where's yours come from?
So, over the past kind of couple of years, I've started battling depression quite heavily. I've been going to therapy for 2 years, and it's kind of stemmed from being bereaved when I was 14. But some things have happened over the past couple of years which have kind of tapped into that grief, which I never really let out at a young age. And my life kind of spiraled out of control a little bit. And that's not to say that my problems are worse than others, because on the grand scheme, they're not. But it comes down to how my mental health can deal with the problems that are presented in front of me. What has happened to me is that I lost my mum when I was 14, and my young sister was 12. And we never really dealt with it. I mean, when I was at school, I had therapists trying to talk to me, like, you know, the school therapists. But at that age, when I was 14, I just became rebellious. I became a troublemaker because rebellion was all I knew to deal with my shit, basically. Now that I'm 30 years old now that I'm at that age, the coping mechanisms that I made for myself no longer work. And that led to me not being able to have a hold or a grip on my own mental health.
So with those coping mechanisms no longer being something that is able to be applied now, as you're an adult, how would you say that's impacted you just generally? Like where is that channeled now?
There's two answers to that, really. So the depression really kind of started kicking my ass about 2 years ago. I had a few things happen in my life where I kind of crumbled and I didn't really know how to deal with it. It got to a point, man, when I was going to bed with a bottle of whiskey. I resorted to unhealthy ways of coping, at which point I needed to make a positive change in some way or another. I won't go into kind of what happened because that's not really necessary, but you know, I stopped kind of replying to people when people were reaching out. I've lost touch with family members. I've lost friends. You know, that's partly my doing, but it does partly show you who is really there for you and who isn't, when your life is kind of facing turmoil like that. But I needed to make a positive change because it was one of those moments where I looked at myself in the mirror and said, you know, I need to be my own hero. No one's gonna fucking help me. So that's when I started to go to therapy, and I started going to the gym and just trying to be helpful for myself. It's a good job I am kind of anti-drugs, because I could have seen myself going down a very dark, addictive path, because that's my kind of personality. Trying to be more open with my friends, even though it is really challenging sometimes. Sometimes you need to talk to friends about the good stuff, like, you know, go and talk to them about the fun stuff. And a lot of the time, some friends in different circles, that's what they're there for. They're like, you know, fair weather friends. You go there specifically to have a good time with those people and not talk about the bad. But it took a lot for me to step out and go, mate, I'm struggling. And I still struggle. I struggle now. I'm on antidepressants. I'm still in therapy. But it's a learning curve. Mental health is a learning curve. There's no on and off switch for it. It's something that you need to progressively deal with.
How would you say it's changed you as a person?
It's made me a hell of a lot more empathetic and understanding. And it's made me see a lot of perspective, especially in this line of work, which I wasn't in. If I didn't have the mental health I have now, I feel I wouldn't have been a very good mentor. I wouldn't have been a role model. I wouldn't have been someone to look up to. And in a way, it is a good thing. In a way, that's why I'm trying to see the positive of having depression has made me a better person in a way. And the day that I do finally deal with it, I may never deal with it, but during the time that I may have more control over it, I will be all the better for it, because the positives I've taken from this trauma in my life won't go. They won't go away. They'll stay with me. I've grown a lot more understanding.
How has your own mental health journey helped you, like, in your work life? You said you've become more empathetic.
Yeah, I work with people who don't have a solid hold on their mental health either. So that kind of empathy that I've now got, I come from a place of understanding. It's like, I know exactly what you're feeling right now, or you know exactly where you are in your head right now. Therefore, I can try and be of some help. I don't always help, you know, sometimes it doesn't work, and that's okay. But being from a place where I can relate, it makes my job so much easier, and it means that I can do a better job. But beforehand, I wouldn't have had that outlook. I wouldn't have had that grip. You know, there's people in my life who don't struggle with their mental health, and do you know what? Happy for them, because I wouldn't wish the way that I feel on my worst enemy. I wouldn't want it for anyone. So for the people that don't understand, they're very privileged, but with that privilege comes a massive lack of understanding. Sometimes.
When it comes to going out and mentoring, how would you say that your own journey of mental health has helped you when it comes to more define how it's helped you when it comes to mentoring?
Building trust, I'd say that's the most important thing. There's been times where I won't name names, but a mentee has got into the car with me and they're evidently not okay. They've had a bad night doing something's happened. And I'm not one to push. I'll never push. I go, right, sit down, talk about it. I'm not like that. It's, do you want to talk about it? No. Absolutely fine. I get it. You're having one of them days. We all have those days, and that's okay. Having that immediate understanding, I know where you are right now. I know how you're feeling right now, so you're not going to get an ounce of pressure from me. I'm here for you. And we can, you know, if you want to talk to me later on, we can talk whenever you want to, whenever you're ready, but I'm not going to make you talk. I'll never make you talk, but I need to build that trust so they can say, George, I'm ready to talk to you now. I want to tell you what happened. I want to tell you what's going on in my head. And that does feel good, because that's what usually happens by the end of the day. By the end of my session with that person, they would have told me what's going on.
What would you tell past you if you had the chance, and if there was anything you could do differently, what would you do? Bit of a curveball, that one.
Yeah, man. Don't sweat the small stuff so much. So the way my depression works is I'm dissociative. The second anything stressful or aggressive comes towards me, anything that makes me feel even moderately uncomfortable, I put my walls up. I don't want to talk, and I need to exclude myself a lot of the time. And what that means is I will close myself off and almost or essentially run away is how it feels to me. It's almost like a fight or flight response, and I tend to always choose flight. And that is when a lot of the time people may mistake my kindness for weakness, but it's not that case at all. It's given the way that I've grown up, I grew up around quite a lot of aggression, not violent in any way, but like it's, I've seen arguments and arguments and arguments growing up. And as I've evolved and as I've learnt to cope, my coping mechanism is to overcorrect that. And what I do is escape. If I don't exclude myself and if I stay, I'll win by any means necessary, and I don't care who I hurt. And that's something that I visit in therapy quite a lot. It's called annihilation. And you get to a point where, it's that term of seeing red. I don't care who I hurt or how much I hurt myself. So I choose to avoid that. I choose to run away from that almost out of fear of myself, not out of fear of the confrontation or the problem at hand. So what I would tell my younger self is that, it's okay to get upset. It's okay to accept your emotions, because I've been putting them off for 15 years to the point now where I'm only just learning that I need to allow myself to be upset. I need to allow myself to be angry. I need to allow myself to feel things, because I've suppressed all of those emotions, I've suppressed my happiness as well. And that's a real bitter pill to swallow, that I almost need to relearn how to feel a lot. And I wouldn't want that for 15-year-old me, because I certainly don't want it for me now. The pro of that is that I can help people learn to do the same, because it is a long road.
In few words or less, do you think that mental health defines a person?
No, I don't think so. I believe it's how you deal with it defines you.
Are you able to give me an example of how you are now kinder to yourself since going through your own mental health journey?
Some days, yeah. Some days, no. I still have very, very low days. There's still days where I don't want to get out of bed. There's still days where I don't want to do anything. I've had sick days from work because I couldn't get out of bed. So in a way, yes, I am kind, but kinder to myself rather. Some days I still beat myself up.
If you were to give advice to anybody that's going through their own mental health struggle or their own mental health journey right now, because I wouldn't really necessarily call it a struggle, I'd call it like a journey. What advice would you give to somebody that is really going through shit right now?
You need to help yourself in the way that's right for you, because there may be people watching this video about me and thinking the way that my mental health works is wildly different. For example, my therapist tells me that people commonly describe their depression as a weight on them. And the way I described it, it felt like there was a hole in my chest, like there was something missing, like a phantom limb. And he was quite surprised at the way that I described it. What I mean by that is that everyone does work very, very differently. What I will say is that if you feel you need to seek therapy, seek therapy. I know it doesn't work for everyone. If you have a close friendship circle, a close support group, seek them out. Those people are close to you for a reason. You can lean on them, and be kind to yourself, because I am exhibit A of someone who beats themselves up, someone who is not kind to myself when I really, really should be. Don't do as I do as I tell you. Be kind to yourself. And I think that's the most important thing.
After the conversation we've had today, how would you define yourself?
I am a man that is learning. I am trying my best to find the joy in the journey rather than seeing the negatives. And my life is a learning curve, and I'm learning to be okay with that.